niche. Like for me, say you're a gym brand, you need to work out. So we're going to do one post a week on the gym wear. We're going to do one post a week on workouts. We're going to do one post a week on post-workout foods, or what I have had in a day, because that's your inside scoop. That's your personality, because you're showing what you've eaten in a day. You don't have to do that. It's not really anything to do with business. But people are getting the inside scoop and the personality. And then within that, you're showing your gym wear, you're showing your gym supplements, whatever it is, and people are going, so where did you get those leggings from? Where did you get those supplements from? And it's about organically adding your products into it.
I like to call my unlimited content matrix, and essentially you break your business down into 4 pillars, right? You're welcome. Before I even start, you break your business down into 4 pillars. You say, okay, let's say for example it's Crunches by Susie. She really likes, fashion, right? She really likes hair, and there's another 2. So you break down hair and fashion, and you get their keywords. So you say, okay, fashion, we have models, we have material, we have this, that, and the other. And then for each of those keywords, you'd break that down into the who, what, when, where, how, and why.
What's sustainable happens quickly. Nothing. Like very few of you can show me an example of something that is sustainable, that is built quickly. I look at a plant. You look at a tree. Look, the biggest tree in the forest here. How long has it been there for? Thousands of years. It's not coincidence. You look at buildings. How long did they build a building? How long does it stay standing for? Look at a baby. If a baby is born too soon, it's at risk of dying. Everything in life. There's not one thing in life here that can happen quickly and is sustainable. So when I tell you the post here for the next 6 months here, that's me using the laws of life and nature and what we see around us to understand here that nothing in life that is built quickly is sustainable.
I love the psychology of it. And I think sometimes with digital marketing, we forget that it's the same thing. It's just using different platforms, and the speed in which the digital platforms allow us to market to our audience compared to traditional offline is just incomparable. It's just crazy fast. And also the accessibility of how many people we can reach. And so it can be quite overwhelming when we think about the bigger picture of digital marketing, but really when it comes down to it, it's about the psychology that we've always known. And that goes right back to, hey, I've got some of these carrots. I've noticed that you haven't got any carrots. What about these? Should we swap some carrots for some of your potatoes? So it's about the psychology of somebody wanting or needing something and then somebody else being able to provide.
We call it edutainment. So it's education and entertainment. And don't be scared by the entertainment word, because entertainment is broad. Anyone can find anything interesting. It doesn't need to be humorous or anything like that. Teach us about this, and you can do that with a hook. So one tip for video content is you need to capture someone's attention in the first 3 to 5 seconds. You need a hook, and that hook it needs to draw in that person. So on TikTok, you can write a cover title on your video. If your service is beneficial in some way, a hook on that cover title could be, this is what really saves me time when I'm ... That's a hook, because now I want to know what saves you time. So this is where services can really play up to, how is this beneficial for you? Why should you be parting money? How can this change my routine in the best way possible? So that is everything that they need to be pushing.
Good morning, everyone. Well, I think it's afternoon now. It's past 12 o'clock. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to another episode of UKBF Talks. And we've got a very, very important topic and conversation that we're focusing on today, because we're looking at all things digital marketing and what we need to be doing as small business owners and startups to be really, really capitalizing on some hacks and some different things to tap into to really exploit digital marketing so that we can really utilize it well. Before I bring in today's guest, get into the chat, let us know where you're watching from, let us know what pain points that you're having when it comes to marketing, when it comes to your digital marketing. What questions have you got for us today that we can fire across to our guest? He's phenomenal. He's not paying me to say all this stuff, but he knows his stuff. So if you've got any pain points, any questions, any queries, get those in the conversation at any point, and I'll do my best to fire away to our guest today. Before I introduce today's guest, I just want to let everybody know we've got quite a big surprise, a special surprise, particularly for everyone that's watching today. So today's episode is supported by our sister site, Smart Business, which launched last week. Now, we're working together with Simply Business, who help you compare insurance quotes in just a few minutes. Smart Business aims to help make sure that you have the support you need to run your business and work out which products are right for you. Our aim is to save you time and money. And when you get a quote, even before I say that, every business needs insurance in some capacity. And when you get a quote through Smart Business, you get the ability and a chance to get a year's worth of business membership on UKBF, which will save you over £500 on business resources that you're going to need to run your business on a day-to-day anyway, right? And for everybody that's watching today, even if you've got business insurance already, we want you to let us know when your business insurance is due. And when you let us know when that insurance is due, we're giving you the chance to get a business membership, a premium business membership for 1 month free, just by letting us know when your insurance is due. So we're just going to quickly put a link in the chat right now. Click the link, fill in that form quickly, and you get a chance to have a 1 month's free business membership on UKBF, which gives you access to some really, really cool brands such as VoIP, Google, Wix, some really fantastic deals that we've got in partnership with these great brands. So get your comments in the chat, get that form filled in, and now let's crack on with today's episode. So this man has great experience, a great wealth of experience when it comes to digital marketing. So without further ado, let's get today's guest in.
Hello, hi Jacob.
All right, David, how did I do with that intro?
I was all right. I was very flattered. You didn't have to be so kind, but a pleasure to join, and hopefully I can help answer some questions and have all the entrepreneurs and they watch this show.
There we go. That's it. So in today's conversation, before we're going to be focusing on powerful digital marketing strategies for small businesses. But before we go into that, David, before I start any session, I always need to ask, who the heck are you? And why do we need to care about anything you have to say to us today?
Well, that's a good question. So I've been doing this for 15 years. And by this, I mean Google Ads and the world of digital marketing in general. So I started up doing this in the really early 2000s, back when words like omniture were still being spoken. A lot of people watching this probably don't even know what omniture is, but that predates Google, when Yahoo were the big boys. And then, I've been very much around pretty much since day one of Google, doing primarily Google Ads, but also LinkedIn, Facebook, all the other aspects of digital marketing. And my agency AdGrow, we do all those component parts, and have lots of good people here. But me personally, I'm a 15+ year experienced digital marketer, and hoping to share some of that with you guys today.
That's good. So we're not going to get any fluffy answers of give me your email address and I'll send you a 10-hour video on how to get someone's email address. Hopefully we're not going to get that level of value.
I'm going to upsell you guys. It will be straight answers only, I promise.
There we go. So I'm going to go straight into it, because I know some people on their lunchtime, and we want to make this as time efficient as possible. So what are the most crucial digital marketing channels that small businesses should focus on for success?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots. It depends on the business, doesn't it? But to try and give you the straight answer that I promised, I mean, I'm gonna lean towards Google Ads. I am biased. That's what I do. But the reason I would always look at Google Ads first, and it may not be the right one for certain types of businesses, but the reason I certainly evaluate Google Ads at the top of that list is because Google Ads is where you will get the highest intent traffic. You will get people searching for what you do. So it's a very good way to test a business, test your website, test your conversion rate. If you can't convert someone who's looking for what you do, then you're probably not going to convert, someone who's higher up the funnel, who's demographically right, but perhaps not got the intent. So in my view, you have to convert Google Ads traffic if you're going to be in this game, because that's the easiest traffic to convert. Now, the flip side is it's the most expensive traffic. Facebook, LinkedIn, or Facebook's much cheaper traffic. LinkedIn can be quite expensive, but these are higher up. Tend to be higher up the funnel channels, or certainly in the case of Facebook and Instagram, much lower cost per click. But from experience, Google Ads, there's a reason Google are what they are, and it's because they get good traffic. So I think you have to look at Google, but beyond that, let's just move. There is a world outside Google. If you're doing B2B LinkedIn, obviously you've got to look at that. Lead ads and document ads, ones where you capture the data on LinkedIn, tend to work the best. So I'll definitely look at that for anything B2B. Facebook Insta is quite good for things like fashion or more kind of clearly demographically targeted products or services. But again, you tend to find Google would probably work better. And of course, there's SEO. Don't forget SEO, but you've got to be in it for the long haul. It's not cheap to do SEO. So I'll pause there, but that's probably my initial answer.
Yeah. And why do you think Google is such an important place for businesses to be? Why are they basically killing the rest of the market when it comes to why businesses need to be positioned on there?
I think there's two reasons. I think the first reason is they provide intent, as I mentioned before. Intent is golden. If you can get someone who is in buyer mode, if you go back to your marketing principles of awareness, interest, desire, action, all that kind of stuff, Google's coming in the latter part of that process of the buying cycle. So Google is bottom of the funnel. You're very much in the 6-yard box waiting for the tap in with Google. You can get good quality traffic. So that's reason number one. But the other reason it is so dominant is because of the data in the interface. It's powered really well. Its bidding algorithms are really strong. It's very easy to use as a platform, which helps. It's a lot less friction trying to get things done. I mean, I think it's tons better to use than the Facebook platform, for instance. But it is all about data at the end of the day. Data is, of course, what powers targeting. It's what targets your bidding. It's what powers your return on ad spend, your CPA. So if you can get good intent and good data, you're winning. And those are the two reasons why Google kind of possibly stands a little bit apart from the rest.
And I think this brings me on perfectly to my next question. So I'm a small business. I'm starting off. I may not have the big bucks to really push strongly on Google. What can I do effectively and efficiently to make sure that I get good leads, quality leads, with a minimal budget?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I've worked with many small businesses over my time. A lot of them from startup, from day one. And I know exactly what it's like when clearly you're not swimming in money and you've got hundreds of thousands to burn on ads. You've got to be lean, be careful, be canny. What do you do? So you've got this balancing act between wanting to, be careful with what is a limited budget, but also the need to get data. And your goal as a small business with a small budget in the early stages has to be to learn something, to prove, to make that blueprint, to prove a model. And, so I wouldn't necessarily think, how do I get my money back now? I mean, of course, you've got to keep the business running. I get that. But it's all about learning and it's all about getting data. So the classic mistake that a small business makes is it thinks, right, okay, well, I don't know what works, so I'm going to try everything. I'm going to do a bit of SEO, a bit of Google Ads, a bit of Facebook, a bit of LinkedIn, a bit of TikTok. And they end up I'll spend 100 quid there, I'll spend 100 quid there. And they end up with a report that's basically got ones and zeros in all the conversion columns because it's so thinly spread that what you've got is effectively you've paid all that money, you've split it in so many places, you've got tons of what statisticians would call insignificant data with huge margins of error on it. In other words, it's a little bit lucky. Some things work, some things didn't, but you've done such a small amount of each thing that you don't really know if it was luck or the beginning of a trend. So with a small budget, a small business, I think you've got to use your common sense a bit. I think, you do have an input here. Don't think I don't know anything. You do. Follow what you think is going to work best. It may be going for some really, really specific keywords on Google, just again to prove that you can convert that traffic. But what you shouldn't do is just spread it super thin because then it will just evaporate. So follow your gut.
Yeah. For those that may not know the practical steps on setting up a campaign, let's say on Google Ads, can you quickly give us a quick synopsis, a quick breakdown of what that looks like practically?
Yeah, sure. I mean, so it's very easy to create an account on Google Ads. They're very, very straightforward wizard. They're very good at getting you to get your card details in there ready to advertise. But once you're through that process, you've got to create what's known as campaigns, and a campaign is fundamentally sort of a part of your budget that targets a specific type of ad to specific people. So a typical campaign would be a search campaign where you put your keywords in, and it'll take you through a wizard to do that. You put your ad copy in, you put your landing page in, and off you go. Now, what you really got to do is make sure you've got your tracking set up, because it's all very well saying, "Oh, I want to target these people, I want traffic," but you've got to make sure that when someone fills out that form or someone buys something online, you get that data. And what you've really got to do is make sure that you've got enough data. So, like the classic problem that I always see, like small advertisers or startups have is I'll go into their account and I'll see a tiny number of conversions, and their monthly CPA will go like that every month because it's such a small amount of data. It's just volatile. So what you've got to do is you've probably got to set up different types of conversions. So if you're running an online shop, for instance, don't just look at sales, look at checkouts, look at baskets. Sometimes baskets can be the most meaningful metric in an early stage campaign because it gives you a lot of them. And likewise for lead generation, you might look at views of the contact page or the form page or something like that. So set up your keywords, put in your ad copy. It's all quite straightforward stuff. The wizards are there to do it. I don't think anyone would struggle with that. But the main magic is in the data and the tracking. Make sure you get that done. And Google Tag Manager is a great tool for that. All gets a bit technical at this point, but you do need to make sure you're on top of that.
What role does content marketing play in digital marketing overall landscape for small businesses?
Yeah,
go on. How can they do well in this area?
Yeah, content marketing it's a tricky one, that, because I would say generally content marketing is the preserve of the bigger advertiser. It's a nice upper mid funnel thing to do, as we marketers say. In other words, it's not the same as what I've kind of been talking about so far, which is all about high intent search, people looking exactly for what they want, you just getting in there at the right time. Content marketing, the aim of content marketing is volume of traffic. It's about low cost per click advertising. Though, when you advertise when you do banner advertising on another website or anything like that, you would expect the cost per click to be pence rather than pounds, because ultimately they are lower value clicks and they're a lot freely. There's much more places you can put those ads. So the supply and demand makes them much cheaper, very good for traffic and impressions and awareness. But I think you've got to ask how important awareness is in the early stages. Awareness is important for a slightly more mature business that's looking for market share and looking for an acquisition or exit strategy or something like that. There's lots of reasons you do awareness, and we do lots of it too. But for a small business, for a startup, when you're on obviously quite a lean budget, I would question, every penny you spend on content or awareness is money you're not spending on bottom of the funnel acquisition focused marketing. So I think you've got to think, hold on, do I want to take money out of my much more ROI based campaigns to do content. But there's always a role for it. I don't want to sort of be too negative on content marketing. If you are going to do it, I would certainly be looking at YouTube, Facebook, obviously Instagram. Again, B2B, LinkedIn, Google discovery ads are quite good. I think they're rebranding them something else in a bit, but yeah, they're demand gen. I think they're rebranding discovery. So if you look into Google discovery ads or demand gen ads, these are like display ads, content ads, banner ads that appear only on Google properties, so on Gmail, YouTube, news feeds, which is quite a good place to be when you think about it, because people are more engaged, especially if they're reading a news feed or their emails. They're a lot more engaged at that, and you see that in the data. They convert better. They do good click-through rates. The one pitfall I would flag at this stage, if you do run on the Google Display Network, I would probably negative mobile apps, because what we always see, if you just do it without any of that stuff, if you just launch it as you normally would, you'll see all your clicks and impressions are going on mobile games, and you get a lot of accidental taps, which you're paying for because it's cost per click. Mobile games is a classic pitfall. It's so depressing when you see someone spend £700 on Candy Crush ads and nothing's come out of them, and you just know that unless you're selling something relevant to mobile games, then you know that's probably not a good thing. So if I'm a small advertiser, I'm going to do content, I would probably focus on probably Google discovery, a bit of Facebook, LinkedIn if B2B, and maybe a bit of YouTube if you've got some good content there. But yeah, just you got to weigh up your objectives there. How important is awareness at this early stage, or is it more just about getting some sales in the door as a small business?
That leads me perfect into my next question. Can you share with us some practical tips for small business owners and startups to build and engage their online audience through social media marketing?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's funny that the game's changed quite a lot over the years with audience building on social media marketing, and I'm probably talk more about Facebook or Meta ads as it is. Those ads are. It's become less in human intervention focused. What I would say is the best results we're seeing now are leaving more and more power to the algorithm. So in the old days, you'd put in your audiences, you say, oh, these are my interests, these are my ages, my genders, my demographics, all that kind of stuff. And there is a role for that, but more and more we see actually the best way to do it is, again, to make sure you set up your tracking, be really good with your tracking, get all those data points, baskets, checkouts, sales, or views of the contact page, engage users, just get good data. Go for quite a broad audience to begin with, and then let that data build, because if you set that campaign live on a very broad audience, insights will build at a very granular level. So you'll begin to see, is it this age group? Is it mobile? Is it desktop? Is it these interests? And Facebook will learn what's working, what's not. And I would definitely start broad, get data, then you build out lookalike audiences after that, based on who's converted. So you say, okay, I want to do a lookalike audience based on people who have got to the checkout or bought or something like that. But use the algorithm, use data. Don't feel like you need to guess who's going to buy. Actually, particularly on Facebook, that's the worst thing you can do. The computer knows best, and that's definitely what we're seeing. We're seeing so many times where it's almost frustrating as an agency, because you want to go in, you think, oh, I can do all these clever things, but actually the best thing you can do is something quite simple, which is good for a small business because it means you can do it yourself. You can go in, really just put some quite broad parameters, whether it's location, age group. I wouldn't at the earliest stage get too fixated on interests and all that kind of stuff. The algorithm will root that out, and you will get some very good lookalike audience built off your conversion data. So that will be my tip. It's all about data. It's all about setting the parameters for good data to be built by the algorithms, by your tracking. But don't be too cute, because it's a lot easier to do it the other way.
Yeah. What are the key metrics and KPIs that small business owners should track and measure to know if something's actually doing well or not?
Yeah, I think I'll look at this in a sort of hierarchical way. For me, there's at board level, at a director level, there's probably three absolutely like critical KPIs. You've got your conversions or your revenue, depending if you're lead gen or e-commerce, your cost, and your CPA or your ROAS. So in other words, you've got your volume, conversions, revenue, how much you're spending, and what the relationship between those two are. You've got to know that. If you know nothing, if you know that, you know at the top line, is it succeeding? Is it failing? So that's the board level stuff. So you've got to have, all businesses ultimately are trying to spend as much as they can within a profitable cost per lead or return on ad spend. That's the goal of anyone. It's just to scale up to the point where you've maxed it out. When you get to the next level down, that's the what. That's what's happening. The why is it happening is the next question. Then you get to a few other kind of metrics. So again, not that many. You've got conversion rate. How effectively are we turning our clicks into conversions? Your cost per click, how expensive is the traffic, and then your AOV if you're doing e-commerce. What's the value of a conversion? And again, those are the three. Is it, if a business is not getting a return, is it because they're not converting well enough, or is it because the clicks are just too expensive? And that's really what you're trying to work out. Is it a targeting problem, or is it a cost per click problem, or is it a conversion rate problem? Because of the website or the offering's not quite sharp enough. That's what dictates competitive advantage. That's what allows you to scale. That's what gets you a profitable return. But below that, there's more. There's impressions, there's click-through rate. These are all really important things when it comes down to ad optimization and the real nuts and bolts of how to run a campaign. But I think people do get lost a bit in the weeds sometimes in this kind of stuff. And the businesses that I see really succeed on any platform are the ones that are on top of those top level metrics. They know what's going on with their conversion rate, their cost per click. They know what their CPA is and whether they're too high, too low. If you're on top of that, you're okay. If you're on top of your click-through rate, all the lower level stuff like bid management, absolutely, that's what people like me do. But from a director's position, you've got to be on top of those core stats.
Yeah. So basically, you need to have a good idea of what you're looking to achieve before you actually begin any level of process, or just have a vague guideline that you want to aim for. Is that basically what you're saying?
Absolutely. You've got a goal as a business. The goal is to spend X and get Y back.
Yeah.
And you've got to stick to that goal and then sort of cascade down from that goal into your Google Ads campaigns or your Facebook campaigns, your LinkedIn. And think, well, hold on, okay. If my goal is to have a cost per lead of £50 max, I've got to make sure that my campaigns are delivering that, and I've got to make sure that if I scale up, I keep doing that. So just make sure there is a very clear link from your absolute top level corporate goal down to these metrics. But don't get, there's a lot of metrics in these platforms. It's very overwhelming when you turn them and think, oh, I don't understand all this. Only about 4 or 5 of them really matter to you as a business owner. Just if you keep good focus on that, you'll be okay. And if you get, when the time's right, you can get in people who do this all day for a living like I do. They can manage the lower level stuff, but you've got to make sure you're measuring return, basically.
Yeah, just got a comment here. I agree that data is the best, but as a small business, we don't have a lot of money for Google, Facebook, Instagram advertising for a long period. So how do you get in quickly?
How do you get data when you haven't got a lot of money?
Yeah.
I mean, well, there's 2 ways around that problem. One way is you spread the budget less thinly and you double down on, say, one of those things that you mentioned. Now, that might not be the right way to do it. I get that you want to try everything a bit, and maybe they all work to a point. The other way around that problem is to get more data by going for a measurement point that's slightly higher up the funnel. So if your problem is, okay, I'm not getting that many leads or sales, I can't quite see the wood from the trees on this level of data, look at contact page views, for instance. Look at, even if that's not enough, look at how many people who did 3 page views or more did we get. And I mean, the further away you get from that core goal, the flakier the data will be. But there's always data, whether you start with a click and you end with a conversion, and in between you've got all these different stages that people go through. Measure as many of those stages as you can. That will give you data of some sort. It might not give you the as many sales as you want, but it will give you trends. It will give you a sense of saying, this is working better than this, therefore we'll put our money there. But yeah, it's no one's pretending that's easy to do, but in principle, you've just got to look at all the data points you've got of the whole journey, and then think, how many different channels, how many different places am I putting my money, and try and get that balance right. But yeah, that would be my advice.
Yeah. All right. Enough about Google now. Enough. Right. What place and how important is email marketing, and how can small businesses leverage email marketing to nurture customer relationships and drive conversions?
Email marketing is really important, and it's important not just because it is a channel and it works and it makes money, but it's important because what it does is it increases your customer lifetime value, amongst other things. And if you're making more money from a customer, you're making more money from a click. And if you're making more money from a click, you can afford to bid higher for that click and be more competitive. So in any industry, the companies that you see all over Facebook or number one on Google, wherever it might be, are the people who've got the deepest pockets. And the reason they got the deepest pockets is because they're able to monetize clicks more effectively than anyone else can. So email marketing is really important because it turns a customer who might have bought one thing into someone who's bought 5 things over their lifetime. So don't look at email marketing and think, oh, this is another way I can make money next month. Think about, this is how I could increase my tolerance for CPA on any advertising platform. This is how I could justify bidding that little bit higher to get a little bit higher on Google, to spend more money to scale my business. This is all, scalability comes from return on investment, and email marketing does that. So, to get back to the main part of the question, how can you leverage it? Well, treat it like any other platform. Do A/B testing. Test everything. Test your subject lines. Open rate is the biggest killer. There's so much headroom on open rate. If you can, get just a few percent more people to open your email, you've actually probably added double-digit percent in real terms of how many people have done it. So do A/B test your subject lines, A/B test your content too, because that's the next stage of getting them presumably to click through to the website to do whatever you want them to do. Use, MailChimp, I'm sure a lot of people have heard of, is one of the big go-to platforms for email marketing. There are others, but MailChimp's a good one, integrates with a lot of other useful platforms too. The other thing is, make sure that you UTM tag your links that you do. So when you've got an email that links off to go and buy or inquire on the website, if you Google URL Builder, there's a tool that Google provide, but it's not just for Google, it's for everything. You put in the URL that you want your button or whatever it is, your link on your email to point to, and it will put lots of extra stuff in the URL to tell Google Analytics this is where that traffic's come from, so that when it comes from an email, you can see it's come from an email, and it gets the credit, and you can measure it, and you can measure it down to the email itself, the campaign. It gives you that drill down, that accountability. So definitely UTM tag. If you don't know what that is, Google it. It's not that complicated, but it's really important to tag where your traffic's coming from. And test everything. Subdivide, build audiences. Think about your email list, who they are. Are they repeat visitors? Are they returning customers? Are they long-term customers? Are they unconverted, drop baskets, possibly? That kind of thing. But segment out as much as you can, just again to get data, to learn, and obviously to tailor your messaging where you can to be relevant. But it's ultimately all about open rate. It's all about click-through rate to the website, and then obviously conversion rate after that. But the email is going to be those first two, really.
So for those that may not have a big email list to begin with, let's say I'm starting off in business, I have a service-based business, or I sell particular products. what's the best way for me to build my email list so that I can obviously, hopefully, people will be buying from me again in the future based on the relationship I build through my newsletter?
Yeah, so you've got various tools to do that. I mean, really, the classic way of building an email list is to do some sort of advertising, whether it be a LinkedIn ad or a Facebook ad, or even a Google ad, offering a very easy incentive to give you emails. So it might be 10% off your first order, get your voucher code, or it might be, request a free ebook. All these, these are quite classic things, but ultimately give someone quite an incentive just to give you their email. Of course, you'll be capturing emails as part of your usual conversion process, whether it be a lead, an online form or a checkout. But aside from that, it is an exchange of content. You come up with some sort of content to share in exchange for an email, and there are some great tools. Facebook lead form ads. LinkedIn does the same, where it gives you a nice pop-up within Facebook or LinkedIn that captures data for precisely that kind of use, to give a really valuable download, hopefully, or a discount code or something like that. But those, capturing data is usually done on that type of ad. What I wouldn't do is do Google ads, search ads, because that's not aimed for that. Google search ads are expensive cost per click, aimed at trying to get people to buy now. Don't do that for gathering email addresses. If it's a proper lead where you're getting a phone number, an email, and an inquiry, that's different. But if it's just to harvest data, search ads not. You want cheap cost per click, and that does lean towards content advertising, towards display, towards awareness, and there's some great lead form ad formats to do that.
Yeah, and I think this is probably a great segue to kind of plug Smart Business, who are supporting and sponsoring this webinar. Smart Business are in partnership with Simply Business to bring you business quotes and business insurance quotes that every business needs anyway. And everyone that's watching this webinar right now actually has the chance to get access to 1 month's free UKBF business membership, which will save you £500, over £500 worth of resources on day-to-day things that you need to run your business. And you get all that for free for 1 month. And all you need to do is, we're going to put that link back in the chat again, fill in the form, just let us know when your business insurance is due, and you get access to that resource for free for 1 month. That's a way to build your email list. That was a great segue to do that. But also, giving another example, is just imagine when people go to a restaurant and you want to get onto the Wi-Fi. I want to see David's face. I want to see his reaction. When we go to a restaurant and want to use the Wi-Fi, they give you the free Wi-Fi, but they get you to fill out your name, your email address, your address, your number. You get the Wi-Fi, but then from that point on, you're in their email list, and they're going to be pushing their deals, their offers, maybe once a month or once a quarter, whatever. But that's a perfect example, as David said, offering something of value, whether, like I just said, we're giving away 1 month of worth of UKBF membership, which is saving you £500. All you need to do is fill in, click this link, fill in your information, and you get access to that. So having something of value to bring to the table, whatever that looks like, whatever your sector is, I think only you can think about that. Or what are other people doing that you've seen in your sector that you could do something similar to? I think that's a great way to build a list as well.
Yeah, the only thing I'd add is, obviously, I'm sure people are thinking, you're going to get, what if they put in a fake email or something like that, or a spam email? We've all got one, right? And one thing you can do is you can email whatever it is, the code, the ebook, the Wi-Fi, to that email. You wouldn't do it on Wi-Fi, but it is probably worth having some sort of verification process to incentivize a real email. Because obviously we all do it, don't we? And of course, the quality of the incentive will correlate with the quality of data you get back from the user. So yeah, worth considering those variables too.
Yeah. Carrie, I hope that answered your question there. Let me know in the chat if you still want me to ask that question. So I think we just covered that. But my next question to you, David, is what are the latest trends in SEO, and how can small businesses improve their online visibility through search?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, SEO, the dark arts of SEO, always a very difficult one for any small business owner, what to do, because it's not something you can do by halves, in my opinion, but there are some fundamentals that you can definitely do to give yourself a free leg up. I would say, the classic thing that people do wrong on SEO, and let's start with this, is they'll have a page called services, because and it will just have everything they do in one page, when what they should do is have a page for each service they do, because the number one, the low-hanging fruit with SEO is indexation. It's about having a website that Google can read, that's structured in the right way. And it's not actually rocket science once you get the hang of it. It's just about making sure that you've got a page for each of the key topics you want to rank for. Think about what people are searching for. Think niche, think long tail is always the word, of course, that we use with SEO. Don't think, I've got to have millions of landing pages for every single sort of keyword there is. It's not like that. Google's cleverer than that. But you do need to break down your offering into its component parts on individual pages, so each page can index well for that specific search theme. So you just got to think in that kind of slightly OCD hierarchical way, and then you've got a website that's structured well that Google will naturally read quite well, and you'll get just an immediate starting point that's better than what you would have otherwise had, by lumping, like I say, everything onto one services page. That would be a mistake. So just, make sure the site is just logically split out so Google can read it. Make sure that you've got Google Search Console set up. That is your in to Google. That is where Google will say, you're not doing that quite right. We can't read this page properly, or you've got an error here. It will help you see what searches, it's like Google Analytics, really. It is part of Google Analytics. It will help you see where you're ranking, where you're not. It will help you see, the amount of times I'll see a small business go, oh, look, organic's doing really well. And then you go into Search Console, and actually the reason it's doing really well is because it's brand traffic, and people are just typing their name in to get to their website, and it's not quite the same thing. So, Search Console will give you the ability to split those non-brand and brand traffic out, which is vitally important. Otherwise, you're going to think SEO is the bee's knees, and you're going to plow money into SEO thinking I'm going to double that, when in fact it's just brand traffic, which you can't easily double just by doing SEO. In terms of latest trends, obviously, AI, ChatGPT is here.
That's a question I actually had. Sorry, David. What is AI helping businesses? Can it help businesses to optimize SEO? Because one thing I've heard is that, for example, if you have articles, or you've got like a value proposition, or something on your website which is been created by AI, your ranking on Google will be lower, because Google can pick out that it's been done by AI. Is that true? Am I just making that up?
No, I mean, yes is the short answer. Google will punish you if you don't go to the extra length of, shall we say, editing your AI-driven articles, because that's what's happening now. The copywriter is under major threat with AI just churning, ChatGPT churning out blogs. Everyone, it's slight segue. ChatGPT is great for ad copy, by the way, really good for ad copy, particularly on social, but also from Google too. So we love AI, but for SEO, of course, it's making everyone's life. It's lowering the barriers to entry because it's making content generation easy. But like you just asked, Jacob, like if you just sit back, turn on ChatGPT and hit the pub, then you will get punished. Don't think it's cheap. Google is cleverer than that.
What if what if we use Google's AI to do it? Is there, are they being cheeky by what?
I don't know. I couldn't give you an answer on that one, but no, I mean, do use AI, but don't just like passively use it. It's a great way to generate content from which you can make something a little bit better than what we do that comes straight out of ChatGPT. You know, and you can do, you know, it's very clever. You can do it with a focus on specific keywords. So it can certainly, it will give everyone a head start, if you call it that. If everyone's using it, it's not head start anymore, is it? But yeah, that's the latest trend, clearly, but one that comes with both opportunities and threats, because, you know, it takes you back to the old days of penguins and panda algorithm changes, which, you know, some of you remember. You know, back when I started out, you know, it was all just about spamming your website with keywords. And you used to get away with it, and people made a lot of money in the early 2000s doing that, and then the algorithms changed, and of course, you know, Google then, all these horrendous stories of people being, you know, literally having their rankings just drop overnight. Businesses that were built off SEO, or black hat SEO as it was then called, suddenly just literally disappearing pretty much overnight because their rankings went. And I don't think we're in that territory with AI, but you got to have a similar mindset. I think don't be too clever. You know, just make sure you do write good content, because SEO is as much about syndication as it is about, you know, just having content out there. The best SEO is because someone actually has written something quite good. It's being featured in a genuinely respected publication, and it's getting linked to, and it's getting genuine attention. So Google will still spot that. You can't game that one, I'm afraid, on ChatGPT. So yeah, use ChatGPT. Just be careful too.
Yeah, just before I move on to the next question, in regards to SEO, how do we win, and how do we know what words to use within like copy, within articles, to kind of get us ranked up or higher without spending any money?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't. In the old days, it was very much about keywords. You used to, you know, whether it was Google Ads or SEO, you would have these long keyword lists, and it was all very, very kind of, you know, trying to be very clever with keywords. I mean, Google is smart now. You know, we've got I mean, just by being able to do AI, you can see how smart it is. So I would look at SEO in terms of themes rather than necessarily specific words. There's sort of an overlap between those two definitions, but it's definitely, don't get too hung up on individual keywords. Don't just think, you know, if I want to bid on that keyword, just bang that keyword in the blog title and in all the body. You know, it helps, but actually Google's a lot cleverer than that. What you've got to really do with SEO is think which battles are winnable, which rankings are winnable, which ones aren't. And that's where the tools like SEO Moz, or Moz, sorry, as it's now called, come on. That's where you know, these tools are designed to analyze the competition. SEMrush being the other one. They analyze the competition. They think, right, okay, this competition's ranking really high on this keyword because it's got a really high domain authority. And that's because it's done a decade of high budget PR to get recognized. And it's like, well, you're not really going to topple those guys. You're not going to topple Wikipedia either, you know. So you got to think, well, which keywords can we go for? And usually this gets back to the very core principles from going since day one of SEO, long tail SEO. And think, hold on, there's some easy stuff down here, 3 or 4 word terms where I could actually get to number one. It's not got tons of traffic, but you know what? If I do it on 20, 30, 50 of these types of keywords, then actually could get something good. So you got to do the maths, the analytics, the scanning. You got to use those tools to see which keywords are winnable, which ones aren't. Because, you know, as a director, you're just going to think, oh, I want to be number one on this kind of core term. That in many cases can be a huge pitfall, because you're going to deploy time, budget, effort into being number one on something you're just not going to be number one or even number 10 on. Whereas actually there's a keyword that's a little bit related to it, that's perhaps a little bit more niche, that you could possibly get to number one on. And, you know, local businesses are the classic ones. Local's great if you can bid loads of local terms that are much lower competition than like 2-word big national terms. That's the mindset you've got to be in. Think about, can I just sort of, can I have a little bit here, a little bit there, rather than I'm going to go number one for the big ones. So yeah, that would be my tip.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Is paid advertising a viable option for small businesses with a limited budget? and how can they make the most of any ad spend that they may have?
Yeah. So I mean, with obviously we covered some of this already. I don't want to repeat all that, but I guess it's a good way of wrapping up the topic in a way, because let's say you're a small business, you might be thinking, right, what budget should I have for a camp, for starting up? And I would, my answer to that would probably be £1,000 a month is really what you want, but that's a really like ballpark arbitrary figure. Why have I said that? It could be anything. I've seen people do it on 500, but what you've only got to think about, okay, what's the cost per click likely to be? And you can find that out in whether it's Google keyword tool, that tell you that for Google. Other platforms have a similar thing. If let's say you're selling a really premium service like I don't know, mortgage advice, right? That's a famous one because that's a big money service that gets good. People pay a fair bit for those clicks. So if you go into that kind of industry with £500 a month, and it's £5 a click, you're only going to get 100 clicks a month, and then you're going to split those clicks across all the different keywords, and suddenly it's like, okay, but I haven't got a lot of data anymore. So, but on the other hand, if you're doing a different type of business that's perhaps more retail-y, that has a 50 pence per click CPC, then obviously you're going to get way more clicks than that, and suddenly you do get a bit more data. So you've got to think it does depend on the type of business, but if you're going in for a big money customer, you probably do need a budget to sort of match that, because your cost per click is going to be proportional to the value of the click that you're trying to get. So with a limited budget, you've just, again, don't spread it too thin. I know I've said it before. Double down on what you think is going to work. You are the expert in your industry. That's why you're doing this. Yeah. So go for the nice keywords. And use your gut feel as much as you can. But don't spread it too thin. Yeah, just think about how much data you're getting, what the cost per click is likely to be, and you can find that out, and what the conversion rate might be. For a standard lead gen Google campaign, it might be 5%. For an e-commerce campaign, it might be 1 to 2%. And think, well, how much data is that going to give me? So do just some basic maths like that. It doesn't have to be that accurate, but it will just give you a ballpark as to whether you're in the right area. But I think, it is easy to slowly spend a lot of money by being quite lean with budget. And it's money is a finite thing, but sometimes it's better to fail and fail fast than to say, if you've got a budget of £2,000, spend it over 1 or 2 months. Don't sort of spread it over a year, because that's really hard to do that. So it's actually better just to get the learnings quicker, react to those learnings quicker, get some proper data quicker. So that would be my advice.
Before I move on to my last 2 questions, so obviously we're living in a world right now where TikTok is a prominent social media platform, especially when it comes to video. Obviously with the explosion of reels alongside that, but one content channel or advertising channel which I think is very underrated is YouTube. Could you touch on which awareness channel small businesses should be looking at to spend less but reach more? What channels would you advise, and what sort of strategies would you adopt in order to do that?
I mean, it does depend on the audience. I mean, if reach is the goal, and this is an awareness goal, right? It's about getting eyeballs. You are definitely leaning towards TikTok or possibly Facebook. Facebook these days is a slightly more mature audience, people my sort of age, whereas TikTok's for the younger kids. YouTube as well, as I suppose sits probably similar to Facebook in that respect. So you've got YouTube Shorts, obviously, is their kind of equivalent version. I would definitely look at all those 3 for reach. I think video is a great way to do reach, and it's quite obviously quite an engaging way. So with YouTube, you've got a choice. You've got lots of options on YouTube, but I guess the 2 that I'd probably talk about are your standard skippable in-stream ad, as Google calls it, the ones that come before you're watching a YouTube video. It comes up, you wait for the 5 seconds to count down. and then you can carry on watching it if you want, or you can skip it then. Or you've got non-skippable, 15 seconds, non-skippable. The general kind of view is that non-skippable is better, certainly for reach and awareness, because the main reason being that it forces you as an advertiser to pack your content into a non.
Is that
Be on the first 5 maybe you're going to watch. But sure, you try all those formats. There is frustratingly not a YouTube Shorts ad format yet. We're working with our Google Reps a lot on trying to sort of manipulate campaigns to skew towards YouTube Shorts. You can do things like you can target mobile only, and you can restrict certain settings to make it quite leaning towards YouTube Shorts. But that's a bit of a shame they haven't yet got that up and running. But I would definitely, for reach, I think it's all about demographic. TikTok obviously slightly younger leaning. Not that Facebook is old, but it's probably not quite as young as TikTok and YouTube Shorts as well. But yeah, they are great platforms for reach. It's all about cost per view at that in that type of campaign, and possibly you can overlap with conversion as well, which is the good thing about them. So for instance, we've got a client who sells subscription coffee, and they've made very good results from Facebook advertising, pushing a unique promo code to their customers. That's a great combination of reach and conversion, because they're getting both of those stats are being ticked
at the same time?
Yeah, so it's always nice. Conversion is nice to have even within a reach campaign, because it gives you some data to follow. It gives you some insights. It's all very well just reaching everyone, but actually, how do you know who's actually liking it? And that's where the conversion metric comes in, and you begin to get, version 2 of your campaigns can be a lot better because you actually know who's converted and who hasn't.
Yeah. My last question for you, before I go on to some of the audience questions as well. How can small businesses harness the power of data and analytics to refine their digital marketing strategies and make better informed decisions?
Yeah, I mean, all I would say is, two things. Don't get fixated on the little stuff. Just focus on, getting like those top stats I mentioned before, conversion, CPA. Make sure you're seeing return. But really, what I would say is test everything. That's the big mantra of anyone who does digital marketing: is test your ad copy, test your landing pages, even test your campaign changes, which you can do, on the platforms. But your goal as a digital marketer really is to increase conversion rate and click-through rate. Those are the 2 percentages that you really control. That's what people like me get paid to do. And because if you get your conversion rate up, your cost per conversions come down. Obviously, your return on investment is going to be higher. If you get your click-through rate up, that means you're getting more people clicking on your ad, which increases your burn rate of your budget, which then means that you can lower your cost per click and get more bang for your buck that way. So data is all about the percentages that it affects, and make sure that you are testing. If you're not testing, you're not improving, and that's really what needs to happen, to maximize data. So yeah, Google Tag Manager definitely would spend the time getting familiar with that. That's a great way to easily get tracking code and all sorts of things and be very clever with data. I spent a lot of time on Google Tag Manager getting a lot of conversion tracking installed. That's the foundation. But once you got that, yeah, test is probably the short answer to that question.
Yeah, oh, that's good. That's good. An audience question here: if all I had was £200, should I even bother on Google or Facebook?
Yes, but your goal, you've got to define your goal for that £200. Your goal from £200 should be to prove that the most likely traffic to convert does convert. So I would, if I had £200, and I don't know what the type of business is, but I would go for the absolute lowest hanging fruit there is on Google Ads, and I would want to know, yeah, okay, I converted that, I got my money back, or at least I got a conversion rate that was kind of acceptable. Now, will you get enough data? It depends on the cost per click. There's a lot of caveats to this, but I think it will be worth. I would treat that £200 as a research investment rather than a money making exercise. It's about learning, and make sure the goal isn't really, are you getting £400 back or whatever it might be that you want back from that £200? It's like, are we going to prove something that could create the business case to actually spending £500 next time around? And that, so if that's the goal, then yes. If the goal is, can you guarantee me that I'll make £400 back from my £200? No, I can't. So don't go into it with that mindset. It's all about creating a business case to do something bigger. And that's the ladder that everyone climbs as they get more data. And then suddenly the game gets a bit easier as you've got more money, more data. But think about it as a business case, research, investment.
Yeah, going back to what I kind of said in the beginning, that when it comes to all aspects of marketing is theory and practical.
Yeah.
And the theory comes with experimenting as well and finding out what works. And then, as you alluded to, once you find out something that works, doubling down on that thing, because you know that you've done some trials, you've done some A/B testing. You know that when I spent £50, this is what the £50 did. These are the sorts of words. These are the sorts of audiences that resonated with this sort of content, this sort of material. So I know that now, if this is what I achieved with £50 and I'm happy with it, cool, let's spend £200 because I know that it's basically like putting petrol on fire. It's just going to grow, right? So just to add to what you
I mean, the only thing I would probably add to that is at the other end of the curve, and we haven't talked about this much because obviously the focus is a lot more about the startup phase, I suppose, but there is that you got to be aware of the diminishing return curve, because the more you spend, the lower your return will gradually become. Because if you're spending your money in the right order, if you're focusing on the best possible return first, and then you grow and you grow and you grow, that means you're going to have to bid a little bit higher each time. You're going to have to go a little bit wider on your targeting. And you'll gradually lose efficiency, which is a good thing. That's what all successful businesses should do, because they are prioritizing ruthlessly the lowest hanging fruit at the beginning. But so you just got to keep an eye. If you do increase that budget, if you do double down, make sure that the extra money you're spending is giving the extra leads that you're getting, or the extra sales or revenue, because a lot of people don't look at that. They look at the average. They think, oh, hold on, I spent 1,000, I made 2,000 back. I spent 2,000, I made 3,000 back. I'm like, well, you made more money, but your return has gone down quite a lot. You should have made 4,000, and that might be, it's fine, but there's a line. Diminishing return is just something you've got to be aware of. That's all. And a lot of people do spend, and suddenly they're like, hold on, we spent 30% more than last year and we made the same revenue. And it's like, why? Just keep an eye on that.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's a very, very good point. All right, David, last thing, your top 3 tips for people to be successful when it comes to digital marketing right now. Top 3 tips.
Top 3 tips. Right. Okay. Well, the first one, just because we've just had it and it's on top of my head, is to test. Just test everything. Always test your messaging, your website messaging, particularly your website. Your website is your biggest asset. If you can increase a conversion rate from 5% to 6%, you've got 20% more leads or sales or whatever it is. So always, like CRO, conversion rate optimization, CRO as we call it here, do a lot of testing. Make sure your website is not leaving any money on the table. That is the thing that people don't do, if I'm honest. They don't, because it takes time. But that is your asset. That is your return on investment. That's what's going to allow you to bid more, to spend more, to grow more, to be bigger than your competitors. So that's definitely number 1. I think related to that, probably number 2 is the tracking. Make sure you've got really good tracking. Get Google Tag Manager if you haven't got it already. Make sure that you've got all the data points down the funnel, so that if you see, if you're a business that does 3 sales one week, 4 sales the next week, 1 sale the week after, look at the baskets, look at the checkouts, look at the product detail views. Get some data that's stable. So tracking is really important. And I think the third one, I suppose, is probably don't spread your budget too thin. Don't go into this thinking, I don't know anything, I'm going to try everything because I'm a novice. You're not. You know your industry. You're doing this business because you do have knowledge. So bias your ad spend and the order that you do things towards what you think will work best. The amount of times I've been in meetings both as earlier in my career and with people who I work with, who are working their way up. And the amount of times a director who doesn't know anything about digital marketing will make a digital marketer who's supposed to be the expert look a bit silly just by saying something really obvious. Why don't we target these people? They always buy. You'd be amazed. So trust your instincts, double down on what you think will work best, because it probably will. And that'd be my advice.
There we go. Thank you so much for your time and the value that you brought. Extremely practical things that you brought there. And you just weren't trying to upsell either. So it's good.
I didn't know.
How do people get in contact with you? If people want to ask more questions, how can people reach you?
You can reach me. The easiest way is old-fashioned email. David@adgrow.com is my email. By all means, email me a question. I'm more than happy to answer. But yeah, if you've got a question, do that. And I'm always happy to have a quick chat if that's of interest. So David@adgrow.com, ADGROW.com, and I'll come back to you as soon as possible.
There we go. Well, thank you very much, David, for your time today. And thank everyone for joining us today as well. As we said, if you want your chance to get a business membership, a business premium membership with UKBF, we are giving for 1 month's membership for free. All you need to do is click the link in the chat. Let us know when your business insurance is due, and you get 1 month's free worth of premium membership on UKBF, which could save you £500 or over £500 for your business. So yeah, join us next week for another great webinar, and we will see you there. Have a great day.